Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. How are you guys doing? It's Saturday. Yep, Saturday. We're going to change things up today and do just a quick update about Jana Duggar because you guys have been asking. I've done a couple videos recently about Josiah along with Ginger, and a bunch of you in comments were asking about Jana and if there was any sort of indication about why she has not yet got married. And here's the deal. There has been a source, let's just say, that has been speaking out to the Hollywood gossip. Now, I have been reading the Hollywood gossip's content with sort of a, I don't know, guarded eye, because you never really know who the sources are, especially when they are anonymous. However, after what I read and what the source has indicated, I will say that I've heard similar things from people connected to the family, and I've also got some insight about other things that could be going on here. But here's the deal. Jana Duggar recently turned 30 years old. She is the oldest daughter of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar. She is the twin to John David, and they follow the birth of golden child Josh Duggar. She and John David have always had a very extremely close relationship. As they were growing up, she was for sure regarded as and looked at as sort of this stunning, beautiful young woman that had so much to offer, and many of her fans and people that watched and kept up with 19 Kids and Counting on assumed that she would be one of the first Duggar girls to get married. However, she is now 30 and has not yet walked down the aisle. In her world, that is the Quiverful world and the IBLP world, this is unusual because women generally in this community get married very young, typically in their late teens and early 20s, and begin having children and have a lot of them right off the bat. Some of her sisters have followed in that sort of pattern by, let's say, Jessa. She has now had 3 children within a short period of time. Josh's wife, Anna, has had 6 children within a short period of time. And you see Joyanna now about to welcome her second child after only having Gideon not too long ago. So it's not uncommon. And then her sister-in-law Kendra had 2 babies very close together. So having children is a humongous thing. They don't practice any sort of birth control. And obviously, when you come from a family of 19 kids, you would expect that that's what's been ingrained in you. Okay. So all that said, being 30 years old and single in the real world isn't that unusual. In fact, more and more women today are waiting to get married and sort of taking control of their work, of their careers and their lives by not getting married young. But in the Duggar world, this is crazy. And so there's always been these lingering rumors about Jana and her friend Laura DeMazy. She and Laura have been best friends for a very, very, very long time. And so what this source has said is that Jim Bob is reportedly concerned about the nature of Jana's very close relationship with her friend Laura, and that he's really upset with the fact that she has refused so far to get married, and that Jana, for her part, has really sort of rebuked and rebuffed any attempts by Jim Bob to set her up with anyone. And apparently she feels that as an adult, she should be able to make her own decisions about who she loves and whether or not she actually has children. Now, in this world, it's not uncommon for the oldest daughters to become the caretakers as well for their families. And so oftentimes some of the oldest children, specifically the daughters, will rebuff being married and maybe not even have kids because they have been raising children their whole lives. Michelle, in her book, has been very clear about how her daughters cooked, cleaned, and cared for all of the kids. So that could also be a reason. But according to this source, there's been a lot of opportunities for her to actually get married, but she has just not been interested. So Jim Bob is apparently very upset about this because he wants her out of the house and married. But the source says that Jim Bob is so concerned about the relationship that Jana has with Laura that he rarely allows them to spend any sort of quality time together by themselves. In fact, when they traveled to Las Vegas in February for a home and garden show that Laura was attending, Laura does design. Jana obviously is very into design, gardening. She does that on her YouTube channel. So Jim Bob actually chaperoned. And if you remember, there was a lot of odd pictures of Jim Bob on this trip with Laura and Jana, and it seemed as though he was trying to be the middleman or sort of guard Jana from whatever was happening. And I actually did a video about that back in the day. So what the source says is that Jim Bob is still very much monitoring all of Jana's social media, all of her like phones. And remember when he did that video a couple of weeks ago on the IBLP, and Michelle said that they do track and monitor their children's phones by using the Covenant Eyes to ensure that they're not looking at things. Well, this person says that this is what the source says. I don't know how he does it, but he's got some sort of program that allows him to get into their texts and their pictures. They said that he tracks their phones, and some of the kids aren't on his plan, but he still gets in there. And it could be that they're using Covenant Eyes and then setting it up as though that app sends them reports. I don't know how he's getting the information either. But when I spoke to a source shortly after that interview came out with Michelle and Jim Bob, they told me, my source said, yep, I knew that they've been monitoring their social media and their phones for a very long time. It's really weird. It's creepy. I don't get it. So that part was also confirmed to me by a source. So here's what the source says. Now, please take this with a grain of salt. I am not speculating. This is coming from the source that spoke to the Hollywood Gossip. They said, Jana, I feel sorry for her. This is what they said. She's gay, and she doesn't know how she's going to admit that she's gay, but she's in love with her best friend, Laura, apparently. So this is a rumor that's been long circulating for a very long time, to the point that last April, Jana came out and completely squashed the rumor and said, I'm absolutely not interested in that. That's not what I just haven't found the right guy. We are just friends. The source went on to talk about the Las Vegas outing of her and Laura. And her and Laura do travel quite a bit. Laura is a mainstay in this family. Even though Laura recently moved, she was in Arkansas helping them clean up recent tornadoes. She travels with them. At one point, people were even speculating that she might be courting Jed. I don't know if that's true. She was recently doing cleanups with Jed and Jana, but Jana and her are almost always together when these things happen. Apparently, Jim Bob, they said, even when they went to Las Vegas, Jim Bob went, just the three of them. I guess he was a chaperone. That's what the source said. The source also said that he even wanted to get Jana married off so badly that at one point he tried to hook her up and get her to court with Tim Tebow. That was also a very long rumor. Now, Tim is married. I don't remember what his wife's name is, but he's been a part of that sort of purity movement, modesty movement in the evangelical world. So basically what they say now is eventually what's going to happen is that she's either going to have to bite the bullet and come out or become celibate. So what we do know about Jana is that she was sent to a girls' re-education camp a couple different times when she was in high school. And this is comparable to what the boys go to called the Alert Academy. Now, it escapes me. I think it's like Journey to the Heart or something like that she was sent to twice as a teen. Both times she went, it was for her rebellious behavior. People described Jana as a very precocious, outgoing, and sort of vivacious young girl. And then after her experiences going to these camps, she came back much more subdued and much less outgoing. Now, a source that I spoke to that is intimately like with the family, that, intimately knows the details of this family, told me that Jana over the years has become more and more reserved and more quiet. And at times when around her, she doesn't speak a whole lot, and she sometimes appears quite sad, but she will not say what it is that's bothering her or what's going on. People that know the family have said that they do worry about her and hope that she's doing okay. So is it that she's holding on to the secret and she can't live it out? Well, maybe, but again, this is the source putting this out there. What we do know about this family is they're very anti LGBTQ+. The source says that her family is totally anti-LGBTQ, of course, so I really don't know how that's going to be. Now, this family absolutely does not believe that that is an appropriate way to live their lives. They have, used methods through conversion therapies, different options for the IBLP kids when they have they call it SSA, or same-sex attraction. Again, this is a source, and these are the source's speculations about Jana, but the rumor has always sort of been circulating that there might be something between these two. They've been best friends for a very long time. They could very well just be best friends. At some point, when somebody isn't married for a very long time and they're rebuking or rebuffing options, it could be for a variety of reasons. But I think this is a rumor that's been circulating for so long with so many people sort of questioning it. who knows? What's sad to me more than anything, whether it's true or not, is that there are kids in this family who may or may not be part of the LGBTQ plus, but they cannot live authentically their own lives because their family is so staunchly against it, and because their family believes that, you know, it's a sin worse than death. So it's probably fair to say that she will have one or two options. She's either going to have to stay single, if this is true, for the rest of her life, be celibate, or she would have to just bite the bullet, come out, and be, you know, probably disowned or disowned or shunned by her family, which is horrible. She's very, very close to her sisters. She still helps her mom extensively. When her sister, when Abby was in labor recently, they did a labor and delivery special for Abby on TLC's Counting On. Jana was actually with her younger sisters. She brought them to the hospital. She brought gifts for Abby. She seems to really still organize and take care of her younger sisters. Some people have said that maybe she stays at home because she's tired of she doesn't want to have her own family. Others say that it's because she's in love with Laura. Others say that it's because she doesn't want to get married. There's a variety of reasons, but this seems to be the most reasonable speculation at this point. And this is, again, via the source that has been reliably spot on as far as I can tell, as I can go back and forth with the sources that I have connected to this family. So whether or not she is or Josiah is, really, it shouldn't matter in this day and age. It shouldn't matter. Families should accept their children no matter who they are. And if somebody feels like they can't live their authentic lives and they have to be stuck in a situation where they have to choose losing their family or becoming completely like abstinent celibate for their whole lives, that's just a really difficult place for anyone to put someone in. And that has got to weigh heavily on the heart of anyone that's going through that. So this is an aspect of these very fundamental families that is very problematic and very heartbreaking for anyone that goes through it. I've spoken to so many people that have left this world that are part of the LGBTQ plus and have talked extensively with these people about how hard it is to leave and come out because they will lose their families. So if that's the case, Jana, be who you are, be what you want to be. Don't worry about what anyone else says about you. If you love men, love men. If you love women, love women. But don't ever think that you have to squash a part of who you are because your family tells you not to. All right, you guys, what do you think? Jim Bob is furious, wants her out, and at some point they're going to have to bite the bullet because she's going to have to leave at some point. Or, like, do you think it's because of Laura? Do you think it's another reason? Tell me what your comments are, and leave me some comments and let me know below. All right, you guys, I'll be back later. Bye.